I guess, the ongoing debate over private gun ownership here in the U.S. is a story out of Johannesburg, South Africa. We call him the Blade Runner, euphemistically. His name is Oscar Pistorius. He's a South African sprint runner who, of course, is a double amputee, but has actually run very competitively against able-bodied individuals. You've seen the headlines. By every indication, it would appear as though he used a firearm and killed his girlfriend. In fact, we've even got stories. It was the lead story in our ABC News update just moments ago. We've got details about this coming out even today. Joining us on the guest line now here at WMAL from Johannesburg, South Africa, media personality Ray White with the very latest. Ray, welcome back to WMAL here in our nation's capital. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Austin. Great to be on the show.
It's always good. What do we anticipate occurring over the next 24 hours or so, investigatively, even in terms of prosecution or charges being filed against the Blade Runner guy? What's the latest here?
Well, basically what has happened so far, we started out last week, Friday. Thursday morning, the story actually broke at about 8:15 our time, that the Blade Runner Oscar Pistorius had shot his girlfriend. That was the whole story. First of all, we thought it was a burglary. And later on, Oscar came out and said it wasn't a burglary. He had shot his girlfriend. And the details have since emerged since then about exactly what happened. And it's just gone from bad to worse. Honestly, from bad to worse. We started out with a situation where the police were called. Oscar's dad, he was called. The family were called. It's now since emerged that 4 shots were fired. 1 shot was fired from within the actual bedroom, and the rest were fired through the bathroom door, hitting his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp, in the face. She had been sort of kneeling down in a crouching position. The bullet actually went through her hand and into her head and fatally killing her. But there's been a flip side to that ever since. They've now disclosed that a cricket bat was found. Now, a cricket bat, similar to a baseball bat, was found there full of blood. And they're now saying that there are questions about whether he assaulted her, and they're also saying that the autopsy has revealed that she had a crushed skull. So many questions are now being asked about Oscar Pistorius. What really happened?
Ray White is in Johannesburg, South Africa. He's on the guest line here at WMAL. Ray, I want to ask you about what the implications of this are for perceptions about American gun rights here in the United States, because already today, I think it's the London Daily Caller has an editorial out today saying, well, gosh darn it, what happened with Oscar Pistorius and his girlfriend is proof positive that private individuals should not have firearms in their home. I'll get to that in just a moment. I want you to give us a little perspective here on the status of Oscar Pistorius in your country of South Africa. By every indication, he's heralded as a bit of a national hero. Is that a correct perception? Tell us your thoughts on that.
That is correct. He has been a national hero. I mean, Oscar Pistorius, he started out a couple of years as a double amputee. He went off to the Paralympics. He's won several gold medals. And then last year, what he decided to do was into the able-bodied tournament. And he actually went to the IAAF. He appealed to them saying, I want to take part. He did take part. He didn't do very well, but he held his own. And that was something for him. So he's seen here as a national hero. He's got sponsorship from Nike to local TV channels. Mm-hmm. He's been living in a big mansion. He drives a 3.5 million rand car. He's done very well for himself. He has been our hero. The problem is now, after this has happened, South Africans have turned around and said to themselves, who actually is this guy? And talking about gun control, a story broke today that he had been sitting in a restaurant about a month or so ago, and he was examining somebody else's firearm, and the firearm went off. And there are all sorts of questions around Oscar and his guns, because he's got several guns apparently. And he's also been known to lose his temper, and the police have been called to his house a few times. So yeah, questions have been asked about Oscar, his guns, and why nothing was done if the police were called so many times.
Ray White, does this situation with the, I guess now disgraced national hero Oscar Pistorius in South Africa, does this have implications in your country for private gun ownership?
Also, I don't think it does, because we're actually looking at Oscar the person. Now, This country had a very interesting scenario about 3 or 4 years ago. The old gun licenses called, and people had to go through psychometric testing and all sorts of things to get a new gun license. The authorities here made it basically impossible to get a gun license, very difficult. So ever since then, people have been fighting for their weapons and haven't been able to get them. But in saying that, Oscar had a few firearms, but people are not looking at gun control as per se being the problem. They're looking at Oscar Pistorius and saying whether he had a gun or a cricket bat or whatever, we probably would still be dead.
So it's an Oscar Pistorius problem, or at least perceived to be an Oscar Pistorius problem, not a gun or a weapon problem.
Correct, absolutely. They're looking at him and they're saying, he'll be in court tomorrow. And he's aligned himself, they call it the Dream Team. They've got the former editor of the Sun newspaper in the UK. They've got pathologists working on his team and all sorts of people trying to prove, I'm not actually quite sure what they're trying to prove, because looking at this case, all we know at the moment is we have a bloody cricket bat, we have 4 shots that were fired, and we have a dead girlfriend. And he has already said, he started out by saying it wasn't a burglar. So it all remains to be seen tomorrow if his dream team of defense people are actually going to indicate what the problem is, exactly what happened.
Ray White is a media host in Johannesburg, South Africa. Ray, thanks very much for joining us here in Washington, D.C. Have a great